Hi guys, and welcome to my channel, Porsche Minor Mechanics. Hope you're all doing well out there. Today in this video we are going to be talking about that up and coming fuel change, E10 and E5, and what it means for our Porsches. The main reason for this video is I have done exactly what most of the UK have done that have an interest in what fuel they're going to be putting in their car over the coming months. I checked out the government website, which is gov.uk/E10 checker. You get to type in your so you don't type your registration number in, you literally look up your car and it drops down with whether or not your vehicle is compatible with E10. Now I did that, got a Porsche 997, I'm sure you know by now, 2006, or it's a late 2006 Carrera 4S. I typed it all in the old government website and it came up with all Porsches are suitable for E10. Now I thought, oh well, okay, that's all right. And I don't really know huge amounts about the fuel. It's a totally new thing to me. I've been involved with biodiesels and stuff like that, with boat engines, etc. But petrol is a whole new ball game, and I can't honestly say I know a great deal about it. Now I believe, or I've read since, that E10 fuel has been and is widely used around the world. And if you've got a car built from say 2019 onwards, then when you flip your petrol cap, you'll probably see in there that it's compatible. It'll have the E10 logo or even the E5. Obviously, if you can run on E10, you can certainly run on E5. It's a better grade. But with our Porsches on 2004s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, etc., inside my filler cap, mine states 98 RON, R-O-N. Now, the RON is the term equivalent, or what it means is research octane number, and this is how we get the 95 RON and E10, which is 94 RON, 95 being a standard fuel. There is a 91 RON, I think, but I'm not too familiar with that. 95 premium unleaded, E10 and standard 91 unleaded, they've got what's known as a lower knock resistance in high compression engines. And what that, I'm not too clued up on it, but what that means is the lower the rating, the fuel is more likely to burn before the piston, or should I say more of the fuel is likely to burn before the piston's certainly completed its compression stroke. So, and what that then does for you is give you less power and also reduces your fuel economy. Now, it's an interesting thing, the knock rating. In the old days, we used to, old cars used to, I can remember when leaded petrol first disappeared, and we went over with our old Escorts and Cortinas and stuff like that, over to unleaded fuel, and we had to put a lead additive in that fuel. And if you didn't, the engine would, what we used to call, or what is known as pink. You get pinking, and that's basically its valve. It sounds a little about valve bounce. Now, I've noticed, I've run my car personally on all levels of fuel. When I first bought it, everyone told me, oh, make sure you use premium fuel, don't use standard like supermarket fuel, etc, etc. Now I've had my car, what, I don't know, 18 months now, and I used to fill it up with premium 90, I think it's 98, is it 97, 98, as opposed to the standard petrol, regular petrol as we call it. And I haven't honestly, bearing in mind I don't really drive it that hard, and I don't, you know, do loads and loads of miles with it. Particularly, I haven't done a lot of motorway mileage, but I've never really noticed any huge amount of difference. But more recently, I've noticed I filled up, I think it was in a Morrison's, and I put their ordinary regular petrol in there. And I suddenly noticed a few days ago that when I was going down a road with speed humps in it, and, you know, I was going over about 4 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, something like that. But I was doing it in second gear. So the engine revs were like 900, 1,000, something like that. And as I was letting the clutch out, going over the bolt, going over the hump, I'd get like a strange noise off the engine. And it's suddenly, thinking about all this E10 and E5 stuff, it suddenly made me think that I wasn't using the recommended 98 RON fuel in my 997. I was probably running on 95, and that's probably the old school equivalent of pinking. So I am going to fill it up with premium in a couple of days' time to see if that goes away. It never used to do it. I've never noticed it before, and I've always gone down that road the same way ever since I've had the car, and I've never had it before. It's almost like you're in second gear, you're going very, very slowly, and you're letting the clutch out, and the revs are almost, you know, almost down to almost stall rate. But you're just touching the accelerator a little bit, just to give you a little bit of power to get you over the hump. But the revs are very low, and I get this sort of like brrr, like a metallic noise, which I'm assuming, I think now, was definitely to do with the fact that I'm not running the best quality fuel in my car. So that's where we're at with it. So it's all about the knock rating, and the lower grade fuels will reduce your fuel consumption. They will also give you ultimately less power. Now, the biggest problem that I'm worried about is on the website. I got my results through, and it said all Porsches are suitable and compatible to run on E10. Now, E10 is 95 octane. Okay. Now, inside your filler cap on your car, you'll have a little sticker in there with a load of German stuff on it probably. But you'll also, my one, as I'm sure yours has got on it, it's showing 98. Now, if E10 is 98, then, sorry, if E10 is 95, then surely it can't be good enough for the Porsche if it's supposed to be running on 98. So this is why I'm now questioning what's on the government website. Something else that came out of the government website as well is at the very end, there's a little disclaimer. Top, you know, love the government. And it basically, the disclaimer basically in a nutshell says that the information that they've listed is subject to change, and we cannot guarantee its accuracy. And if your vehicle is fitted with replacement parts, this could also affect its accuracy. Now, replacement parts, we've all got replacement parts. Now, I don't know what that means, whether it's modifications or stuff like that. Now, it says on the website that E10 petrol is cleared for use in Porsche cars with petrol engines since 1998. And all Boxsters with petrol engines, all models since 1997. The only thing it did sound there was the Carrera GT There's no year date for it, but it says the Carrera GT is not cleared for use with E10. Now, I haven't looked up whether that's an earlier car or a later car. I'm not that clued up on all of the Porsches. I tend to sort of stick to what I've got, and that's what I'm doing. But the disclaimer as well continues on to say that the DFT, which is the Department for Trade, and its partners will not be held liable for any damage to your vehicle. It is our responsibility as owners to make sure we use the right fuel. The whole point of E10 is obviously about the environment. Now, I want to do my bit for the environment. Sure I do. And if it's not going to hurt my engine in terms of destroying parts and bits and pieces, then, you know, I'll be quite happy to run on it. But I am concerned that, bearing in mind it's only a 95 octane. That being said, I have run basic supermarket fuel, which is the same sort of thing. But the difference now is the E10 petrol contains 10% renewable ethanol, which predominantly is alcohol based, and the idea being that it's going to reduce carbon dioxide, CO2 emissions, etc. in petrol vehicles to help tackle climate change. You know, petrol in the UK currently contains up to 5% renewable ethanol, known as E5. Now, some of these fuels have been on our forecourts already for quite some time. E10 is already, as I've said, widely used around the world. It has also been a reference fuel against new cars tested for emissions and performance since about 2015, I think, something as early as that. Okay, so CO2 is one of the greenhouse gases. We all know about that. The benefits of E10 is that it will reduce the overall levels of CO2 emissions. By blending the petrol with 10% renewable ethanol, there's less fossil fuels needed. So it's, you know, we know what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to lower those targets, etc. But at the end of the day, you've got to make sure that you're not going to destroy your car in the process, because I haven't got in touch with Porsche yet, and I'd like to do that. That'll probably be my next check. But at the moment, I'm certainly on the fence, and I won't be rushing out to use E10. Now, there's another alternative to E10, and that's E5. Now, E10 contains 10% bioethanol. It's a biofuel at the end of the day. And E5, I'm guessing, probably contains 5%. Now, the big problem with ethanol in fuel generally, because it's alcohol based, is it dries out rubber components in the fuel system. It causes fuel lines to crack, makes them brittle. It can damage floats and seals and diaphragms, etc. In carburetors and other parts of the engine as well. And ultimately, you know, it could do some serious damage to your engine, which, by the disclaimers on the website, nobody's going to be coming there to help you out. So it's a decision that you have to make. You know, if I'm honestly quite concerned about it, to be fair, and you can mix E10 and E5. So obviously, if you wanted to, if either one wasn't available on the forecourt, the word is that it's not going to hurt if you have to run, if you don't run your Porsche on E10 and you want to run it on E5, then if there wasn't any E5 available, it's not going to hurt you apparently to run your car on E10. Although you might notice that it's pinking a little bit, or not quite as not performing as well as it does normally. But again, there's no one's taking any responsibility for any possible occurrences or damage that might occur to our engines if we don't check and make sure that we run the right fuel. E5 is basically 97 plus octane, they're calling it. It's like a super grade version of E10. Now, I'm thinking that I'm still trying to achieve 98 if I'm going to run my vehicle on the correct octane of fuel. And if E5 is only 97 plus, now I'm not quite sure what that means. It's clearly not 98 because they would say it was 98 plus or whatever. So it's 97 point something or other. I don't know whether or not, obviously you go to the likes of certain manufacturers of fuel and they do their own premium grades of fuel, you know, which are supposed to keep your engines cleaner, burn better, lubricate better, etc. So maybe that's where the plus creeps in via whether you buy Shell, BP, or Texaco or anybody else out there. So maybe that's why that's written in that fashion. So for me, I definitely I don't think I'll be running on E10 at 95 octane. And the main thing to remember is that these e-fuels are, because they're biofuels, the whole issue revolves around lubrication, and they're obviously removing a little bit of that lubrication from that fuel in terms of the ethanol, and that is the issue that causes the drying out of seals, etc, etc. It's a similar scenario with air conditioning. You know, the biggest mistake with a car with air conditioning is not using it. Even in the winter, you should always run your air conditioning. Now, the fluid that runs around that system contains a lubricant in it, which keeps all the seals and all the joints lubricated and allows them to seal properly. If you don't use your air conditioning for, you know, a long period of time and your car's getting on a little bit, the next time summer comes round, you go to switch it on and it doesn't work. And the reason for that most of the time is the fact that the system's had no fluid going around it, so all the joints and seals have dried out and the gas has escaped, which is why you have to keep going and get it recharged. So it's a similar sort of thing with the fuel. They've taken away some of the lubrication, which a lot of engines will still rely on, particularly bearing in mind the 997 has its own issues with lubrication as it is. So I don't want to enhance that problem by running a fuel that contains even less lubrication in it. You know, I've already done videos on additives and stuff like that, and I run additives in my oil, and I will be upgrading that. I don't use 040 on its own anymore, and when I've got rid of all my Mobil 1, I'll be going on to probably 540, maybe still with a lubricant. I haven't quite decided yet. So I think for me, I will be going down the route of the 97 plus octane, which is E5. There's no ideas yet in terms of price differences. I imagine the 97 super grade is going to be dearer than the E10. But yeah, that's of course the way it goes. You know, if you're still unsure, then you can always check your owner's manual. Your filler cap will always tell you, but obviously we know that as far as the Porsches are concerned of our era, we're looking for a 98 RON, and ultimately ask the manufacturer. But you know, I'm still a bit skeptical in the fact that nobody's going to take any responsibility for any damage caused, and it's purely excuse me, down to us. And to a point, the government are saying that You know, if you're not sure about E10, then use E5. Now, that kind of opens up a whole can of worms as well, in the fact that the whole point of the exercise is to reduce CO2 emissions. But they're saying, well, if you don't want to use E10, use E5, which is, you know, all right, 5% biofuel as opposed to 10. It's, you know, for me, it's a little bit like the face masks. You know, everyone's got to wear, everyone, well, not now, because the rules have been lapsed. But during lockdown, everybody had to wear a face mask. But if you're exempt, then you haven't got to wear one. And the amount of people that just go, yeah, I'm exempt because it didn't really matter. No one had to prove it in any shape or form. The government just gives you get out clauses all the time, and it just, they won't stick to their guns and say, right, we're driving down emissions, this is the fuel we've got to use. But they should be able to make something that's suitable and safe to use across the board. So for me, it's 97 plus, I believe, the super grade version, which I will look into in greater detail. I certainly won't be going anywhere near the E10 because I want to look after my little baby. So that's about it, I think. I hope that's been of some help to you. It's a minefield, to be quite honest, but worth thinking about. And I certainly, I've probably put E5 in my car already, because it is around in some garages, I believe. And I don't, probably like most people, I look at the pumps and you've got your premium grade petrol and you've got your regular grade petrol, and that's it. I don't really pay huge amounts of attention to it, but I shall be the next time I fill up, and hopefully we shouldn't get any issues with it. So hopefully it'll all be okay. So anyway, that's about it from me on this video. Like I say, it's supposed to be coming into force within the next sort of like month or so. Well, they're saying over the summer, and you know, it is the summer. It's nearly over, isn't it? You know, the weather's going to be changing in the next few days as it is. So look out for it and see how you get on. Any questions or any advice that you might have for me, by all means, stick it in the comments, because I'll be glad to hear from you, because and what you think and what way you're going to go. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you can. I know I keep banging on about winter projects and stuff like that, and I don't want to write the summer off too soon, but I am going to do those seat belts. I'm going to go with the guards red front and back. I'm going to take all the interior out to get to them and do that. And I'm going to be using a company called the Airbag Company, and they specialise in airbags and seatbelts. So that's coming in the winter. I'm also thinking that I might start to look at changing my water pump. Don't ask me why, it's just something that's been bugging me. I saw a video on YouTube via somebody, I can't think who it was now, and his water pump went, and it caused no end of issues. It's not an easy job by the looks of it. It's going to be buried behind that back cross member. That's going to be a bumper off job and a few other bits as well. But you can check your water pump to see how that's performing, but that's something I'm going to be looking at in the winter. And I'm also going to be changing a lot of the water pipes anyway. I inspected my aluminium main feed, your flow and return pipes, which run down the center of your car. They're in pretty good shape, but there's a lot of rubber hoses that are pretty inaccessible, to be fair. I think if I'm right in saying that the ones at the front, the two pipes run down the center of the car, and then they kind of sweep off left and right, because you've got your two radiators and your condensers there. I believe you've got to drop the front end to get those out. It's not only a few inches, but nevertheless, it's not a straightforward job. So if one of those was to go on the road or on a road trip or something like that, my voice is going. That would be an absolute nightmare, you know, to be crippled and totally stranded for the sake of a perished rubber hose. Just doesn't add up to me. But yeah, that's coming up in the winter. I'm off in a few weeks' time to Cornwall, and we've still got the Scottish trip. We abandoned the Nürburgring, so purely because of COVID and everything else. I know all the rules have been laxed to a certain degree, but I'm personally still wearing my face mask on public transport or inside shops, etc. I know we haven't got to, but I think we need to do our bit, to be quite honest. And it's about common sense. Things aren't going the right way at the moment. The numbers are up like 40-odd thousand cases a day. It's something we've got to use our common sense. I just wish the government had more backbone and said, look, I can't see what the problem is. They should take that Boris bloke, Pillock. He should turn around and say, face coverings, inside shops, public transport, trains, planes, whatever. What's the hardship? You know, I don't understand their mentality. You know, now they're saying the government's word is, well, you can wear a face mask if you want to. It's up to you, but we'd like you to wear one. What does that mean? They've got no backbone whatsoever. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. More stuff coming up soon. Thanks for watching. Take care. Porsche Mind Mechanics signing off. Night night.